Okay, this is Ellie. It's almost lunchtime, but I've been working in my bed, and so there's Kent. Yeah, we like to hang out. All the dogs are sleeping. We're just not an early morning crew at the moment. I mean that may change, but about 2 years ago, I was getting up at 6 a.m. and working on drawings for 2 or 3 hours. But now I sleep till like 11. I don't understand it. There's Belle. They're all asleep. You see them sleeping? See? There she is. So they're not pressuring me to get out. It's a rainy day. I think everybody in this world has frustrations. And as I've gotten older, mine are like, why can't we all just get along? And I see why not. Because, like, when I go in the projects over at Gilpin and stuff like that, I meet a lot of nice people. I met a guy that stole my car. Well, I didn't meet him, but I didn't feel like he was a bad person. I felt sorry for him. I think I had my pocketbook stolen, and I just felt sorry for the person. I'm like, ooh, that life must be terrible to feel like you don't have enough money and you got to steal stuff. I think there's a lot of people in the United States who have enough money, but they don't think they do. They think they need to have more to be happy. And that's going to cause inflation and ultimate succumbing to what the Chinese want, which is communism. So we got to get a grip on that, deciding where we're going to, spending money on important things. We go to Target, or we just go crazy spending $200, and you better put that in your bank. You better get your house paid for. Tough times may be coming. I don't know for sure, but the way it looks, it's like they're trying to grind us down by making us in debt because of our greed. And honestly, when you look at foreign countries, what do you need? What, honestly, down to the bare minimum, what do you need to be happy? And we did this thing in theater. It was like, well, you just need the actor. You can do without the costumes. You can do without the curtains. You can do without the stage. What do you need? And this is minimalism. But I've called, like, no newspapers will. I've been told that I should be on the news by what I'm doing with the swim team and trying to get these integration happening from segregated neighborhoods. It's made me mad because I care about the people that I talk to and get to know a little bit, and I realize they're not getting opportunities to better themselves. In fact, they're being demeaned by the whole city of Richmond and maybe state of Virginia, that they're not really good enough to participate in activities. Well, we obviously don't want them. We don't send a trolley over to pick them up. I mean, they don't have transportation. They don't know where the VMFA is. So, like in Light, they can't come. And you know that, VMFA, so you know that's a fact. You're not stupid. I mean, some of you might have high IQs, but I've already pointed it out to you. These people don't know where the VMFA is. They would be willing to come, but they don't have a car. And we still continue to ignore that. I guess it's a feel-good thing, like, oh, you can come in free if you can find us. And the thing is just the racism. It's just racism. It's like, I can't quite figure out how they separate people that are black. I'm like, okay, so Obama can be president. My psychiatrist can be an African American, which I'm sure she had to work her butt off as a woman and a black African American. Discrimination abound. But the guys over in Gilpin and Maypen, they're a different species. For some reason, they're doing drug sales, and I'm like, well, maybe they're so confined to their neighborhoods. That's the only way to get out of it, to deliver your drugs. I know there's a lot of businesses that, if you say you're from Gilpin or any of those public housing, it's like saying I'm mentally ill. Well, goodbye. They don't want to find out the ins and outs of it all. And even my children, they're like, I mean, my younger children, my oldest daughter is a lot like my mom because she spent time with my mom. And I think my mom told the family that She's not good around large groups of people, is what my counselor said. That might cause her stress. So my mom just didn't invite me to any family events. I just don't get to go because something my counselor said. And they don't believe what I'm like, I'm fine. I go to concerts. I went to the Patriots Center. I didn't have a breakdown. I go in. It's just fucking ridiculous. It is fucking ridiculous the way they treat mentally ill. They don't believe a word you say. A lot of people just discount you. It's like you're retard or intellectually disabled. But they take care of those people. They put them in homes and make them happy. So with mentally ill, they just leave you on the street. They don't try to look for your good qualities. But that's, so I think I have an affinity. Look, I've got my hand in my pants. I don't know. That's probably not going to be allowed on YouTube. I was just showing you where my hands were. I do know what my left hand is doing while I'm holding the phone with my right hand. I've been studying this for years. This art business, and so, you know, you can go into God and Christianity and the universe and the Buddha, but I think you have to go into you and what makes you the happiest. And I think you can try different things. You can try getting a bigger car and being happy, but it gets old, you know. I know I've ridden in nice cars, and they are nice, and you do feel kind of special, but you still get really unhappy, wealthy, driving in a Mercedes, 500 SL these days. I know because I've been through that life, and jet planes, it's all exciting, but then what happens when your real life kicks in? It's about relationships, and relationships in our community are very strained. When I go downtown and I see the poor black people, they like me. I mean, I talk to them with the dogs, but they have to be able to compete on a worldwide job market, just like anybody else. My brother competed. He got to travel all around the world. So there's no limitations. You know, you just have to find out what they're good at and let them compete. But the situation is they're in this little pod of poor black people that I don't think many of them, I've never met one that went to college. And not that you have to, but I'm picking my nose again. I don't know how Johnny Depp feels about this, but I know it could change. And see, the thing with it changing and us accepting them and trying to find out who they are, not ignoring them, not abusing them, not allowing their children to be neglected without bicycles or Halloween costumes. How can y'all do that? I go to Carytown and I look at people, oh, hi, look at your little purple dog. I'm like, you have no idea. You live in your little blazing, light-filled world of a McMansion with your 2 SUVs and your kids going to... Do you know there's humans in this city that need some attention? So maybe if you ignore that by what the news says and all you hear is, oh, there's a shooting, there's a reason why that's happening to nice people. You're going to say, oh, it's just a nigger. It's just a nigger. We're losing another nigger that's making babies without... trust me, I know, I came from a family like that. And I found out that's not true. They want a family, but they can't figure out a career or how to get it if that's not part of the program they're part of to get them out of segregation. But that wasn't set up. The only thing set up was food stamps and housing. The rest was left up to them. And they don't see the door. It's not only they don't know what's behind the door, they've never experienced it. They have never been to the Cayman Islands. I mean, I've never been to Europe. I've never had the opportunity. But I have done a little bit around the country and stuff like that, and I met a lot of people. They don't get that opportunity. They don't get the opportunity to drive cross country and have those experiences. I mean, they haven't even been to Charlottesville. A bus trip up to Charlottesville. Why don't we take them to Wintergreen? Do you really want our city to go down the tubes? And I'm serious. If we continue with this racism, I mean, we're struggling right now in the money department, and you just put in a $64 million stupid bus line when you could have had the trolley. And you could have water fountains going down Monument Avenue. People would come here and buy art. I mean, if we looked intelligent, like a little intelligent, I look at city council, I'm like, why can't y'all think of any? Why are you doing the same old stuff over and over again? Oh, you're going to improve the school. Well, great. What about their home life? Don't you think those needs need to be met too, like a playground? I mean, these are kids developing. And not only that, then you have very upset, worried parents as they watch their children decline into drugs. Because that's what they do. Because there's nothing to do and there's no money to do anything and there's no transportation at this time. Now, if people would step in and get the early childhood education, get the parenting skills, they would be ready for a trip to, they can't go to Disney the way they are now. It's just, the mom would be smacking and yelling at the kids. It would be a debacle. It really would. And I know why, because they haven't had the influence, or they don't read about parenting. They just do it the same way, like I did when I hit my kids with the wooden spoon. Then I realized, I said, this is really stupid. And I'm sorry it took me so long, but I don't think Morgan ever got hit with the wooden spoon. I think my oldest two got, but by the time I'd figured it out, it was too late. And I was under a lot of stress with my ex-husband too. He was no help. In fact, he was a detriment. But this is just, I don't think you're going to understand what I'm saying unless you actually put yourself in a position where firsthand that you could say, oh yeah, I know some people from Gilpin. Oh yeah, I've been through Creighton Court. I enjoyed it. Nice people. Some of the boarded up windows need to be fixed, and maybe a playground or two for the kids. I would get the people enrolled in school and make sure they have transportation so that they can take their kids to babysitting. And but it's impossible. They don't have any. They can't even get anywhere on that bus. That's the high-speed fucking bus to minimum wage jobs. You idiots. Yeah, I'm pissed. But not. I love humans, but ignorance is evil. And what I see in around Richmond, and people say there's fraudulence, and there might be. I don't know who's getting the money from the housing projects, but it will catch up with you. It will. In your consciousness and in your relationships. If you do the right thing, like Kent, I think he always told the truth, even when it was difficult. This is the truth. Take it or leave it. Your life becomes immeasurably better when you're not leaning on money as a crutch for happiness. When you have real joy and happiness. And money is a side thing that, well, you got to have a bed to live in. And say you had a lot of money. Well, let me pay this artist to do this. But, for the general person, say he works at the 7-Eleven and he makes enough money for a house. Two of them together, they get married, they get a house. Light the fire, something about the cats in the yard. So I don't think you have to have immeasurable amounts of money to feel successful. I think you have to be able to put food on the table, place to live, a car to drive, maybe just one car. You can share a car. But if you love your partner and it's real love, that suffices immeasurably. You see all these celebrity divorces, and I listen to Brad Paisley sometimes laughing about it. And I don't know if Johnny Depp's was a publicity stunt or if it was for real. But God, my divorce was for real. Shit. He's trying to kill my kids. He was passive aggressively trying to kill my kids through drugs and alcohol. He's buying it for them. And they're teenagers, 14, 15. Pot, booze, cocaine. He would go so much as into debt as $32,000 to make sure those kids had every party need met. Apparently for the whole county. I think everybody at the high school came to their house to party because the daddy would let them. And so far they've survived it, but we're still playing some catch up. So no one looks at these videos, but they may in the future be archived. But when you read the newspaper, you hear it's a lie. It's just they're feeding you lies about fear. And it's holding people down, especially the children are the most vulnerable. to be made to feel like they're lesser than. And Alex, is that how you want it? Because you didn't make any effort to get any of my friends to your party. 1708, is that how you want it? I guess so. You want racism. You don't want them there, really. Because if you really wanted them there, I think you're scared. I think you're scared because you listen to the news, and it's bullshit. Humans are so funny about that kind of stuff. They love, I think some people love the mass murders. It gives them something emotional to bitch about on the internet. You don't know any of those people. You're not crying like I cried when Kent died for 2 years. You're just wanting the bullshit. We could change that too, that people don't get murdered. I've already explained how to do it. But I think the news likes the sensation. It's some big corporation making money off the news and lying to the people. They're controlling us, like through the TV set and the news and stuff like that. But take a word, just walk over there. They love white people. They like it when white people are nice to them, and they're willing to work with us. But nobody cares enough to go over there and talk to them except me. You pull them out and you take them to this Art 180, but that's not their home. You have to get into their home life to see how things are for them. What individually you can do to make things better. And just for me, it's not, they take care of most of their needs, and they don't even mind riding on the bus that much. But I think they could be better with an education if they so choose, and they have the self-esteem, and maybe they're tested to see how smart they are. It would be pointless for me to go for an aero scientist. I could not do that because I can't do math. So you test me in math and she's terrible. What are we going to do with her? Well, she writes and she reads. There's nothing to do with her then, because she'll never make a living in philosophy. And art and philosophy, it's a no-go. You just don't make money at it. So what do you do for a living? So I paint. I'm like, well, I'll make paintings and I'll sell them to movie stars and maybe get to build my school, because that would be a lot of fun. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I gave it my best shot. But I would be more than willing to take on ideas from other people on how to make it successful. I will listen to everyone that comes up with an idea on how to bring about world peace, because I think it'd be pretty cool to have people not shooting bullets at each other if we can figure out a way around it. I'm not saying it'll never happen, but I'm saying if we could work on that, and it's a setback. That's what they used to say in drug court when somebody went back, like Alan went back to heroin. And I said, well, this is his 4th setback. And a lot of people gossip and mean to him. I'm sure mean to me too, because I'm mentally ill. And even Xander, he's like, everybody talks bad about me. Maybe if they just let them in the art store. They're being so hostile and mean. Well, you just change that to Utrecht. They're just a much cooler, better art store. I guess Dick Blick bought them. I don't like that name, but Utrecht is a great art store. The one downtown is expensive. I don't get that. I don't get why. Well, they're charging the parents the money. Yeah, they're nailing you to your coffin for all the art supplies that don't have to cost as much, that your child can play with and find out what degree they want. I was in the CA department. I wanted to be a scientific illustrator, but the only reason I wanted to be a scientific illustrator was so I could make money. And I thought it would be kind of a win-win situation. I could still do my fine art on the side, but I could do my scientific, and my drawing skills are okay. I worked on that, but the math threw me. I couldn't, there's a word for it, but. So then I told everybody, the DRS, and I told my parents who were paying for my apartment, and my daughter's apartment, the DRS was paying my tuition. They'd even buy me art supplies. See, that's the kind of thing we need for DRS. I don't know what kind of programs they have now, but back when I was involved, they got me a car so I could get to and from school and places I needed to go. I had a child. My idea as a single mom was, and this is my daughter too, Hillary, she went into it so blind. I was a bohemian person, and um, I decided I wanted to have a baby. So I asked Tim, I said, could we have a baby? I said, I'll probably give it up for adoption. I just want to see what it feels like. And I figured it'd be a good baby to adopt, nice, healthy, white, gentrified baby. And then when I got pregnant, I was like, oh no, I felt the baby kicking, and I was like, I want to keep this baby. So I learned my lesson about single parenthood, though. It's tough. It's much easier to have an income, because I pictured her being on the back of my bicycle and us riding around. How do you get groceries up? Come on. Could you really think through this a little bit better? You're going out to get groceries with a baby on a bicycle. It was the age. I was 22, I guess. So my son, I guess, is right on target for where he should be. I shouldn't have to worry about him so much because, yeah, I was pretty unrealistic. So then I remember I was driving in the van, or not driving, I was walking, and I was pregnant. And this mom drove up with her baby in a car seat in a Mercedes. And since I've been in Mercedes and driven them, I really think they're nice cars. I don't know how they are now, but I've driven the older ones. And I just started crying. Tears came down my face. I was like, I don't have this to provide for my daughter. Or, yeah, I think I knew it was my daughter or my baby. And I think that's how a lot of the black people feel that have social services babies. It's just not that they don't love them. It's just they're not ready to provide. So we need to teach them that and also pick them up and say, hey, you're good at this. I mean, because they don't know. They've been cut down for so many years in segregation and done menial jobs, just like the Native Americans doing gambling. I think we could change that for them if we could build their self-esteem. You can't have a fake self-esteem. You got to really work for it to build your self-esteem up. You can't be like, oh, aren't you pretty? That's not going to work. The person has to have opportunities to do work to build their self-esteem. And that's why I say the summer work program for teenagers, because they're probably a little bit shy. If this is their first job, it's really nerve-wracking and stuff like that. So just to give them a break, interview them at social services and see what their ins and outs are and what kind of stuff they like to do, and get them a work pass, and then set them up with a business they can work at over the summer 20 hours a week. So it's up to them if they go to work or not. I mean, this is not a handout. We're not handing out money. You have to get up and go to work, do a good job, and come home, and then you get paid money. And say you do that for 3 years. When you graduate from high school, you're going to have a hell of a resume to go out and either get a job, go to trade school, go to college, and work a part-time job. But you've got a good start. And your good start was not done in juvenile detention, trying to already straighten you out about how to achieve. They don't have the tools. It's as simple as that. I gave my son a tool thing for his birthday, and he just kind of looked at it like, what is this? I think eventually he opened it, but my son doesn't have the tools yet. We're still working on getting him the tools to be successful, and part of that's because all the drugs and alcohol. And they told him at drug court it's his choice, which is good. It is his choice now. But when his dad was just allowing him and buying him substances and whiskey, and he hadn't even been, I mean, they called me one time because James was out of control and he is fighting with his dad, the ultimate state of control. James wanted to run the household, and since his dad was drunk, he usually got to. So it might make a good movie. But anyway, so I'm documenting all this to maybe go through later to see about a movie or to change the world for the better. Because I think all of our inner city, black communities suffer with the racism. And to get them out, to get them to different parts of the world, to get them educated and things like that, so they're happy doing what they want to do and not doing drugs. They don't want to sell drugs. If you gave them if you made it apparent and you said, look, you can do pharmaceutical sales or you can sell illegal drugs. We don't give them that. We don't give them the ability to compete in a market. I mean, because you're going to have probably 50, 60 people apply for that job for pharmaceuticals. It's like that movie Will with Will Smith. And but they can do it, you know, and if you knock on one door and they shuts and you knock on another. But they have to believe in themselves and have some security in how smart they are. But if we're not doing that, what if in elementary school you get a big fat X, big F? How are you going to feel about yourself? It's not the time to give grades in elementary school. That's the times to give unicorns, starfish, horses, a rhinoceros, just something to show the teacher is keeping track of what's going on. Yes, she has to know, but the child does not. You just watch for a few years and see how they turn out, and then what direction will be good for them. And then we guide them into the right direction. But you don't lower their self-esteem with a big red X or an F on their paper. Trump, or that's the world you want us to live in. Competition so hard that you're destroying the intellect and the self-esteem of the families that you're trying to help, which you don't know how to because you're not smart enough to. I mean, I'm sorry to say, I wish you were. I did not go into it with any expectations one way or the other, but from watching you over the past couple years, you're not able. We're looking 50 to 100 years in the future and how things are going to be affected. You're right in the moment. Job increases, money increases, but you have no idea about a 50 or 100-year plan for our country. You're not thinking in the long distance. You're thinking just in the instant gratification. And you like to fight. I mean, that's been obvious. You've been on reality TV shows where you fight. You're not like wanting to get along with people. You want to fight. It's like innate within you that you want to fight. I don't know if you know your wife. I mean, she might have some things to say to you about that too, but she's not going to because you bring in the money.